That was such a fun read. It's nice to just pick up a fantasy book and go, oh, this is why it's my favorite. Immerse myself in the story a bit. But yeah, I'm having so much fun. Hello everyone and welcome back to another reading vlog. Today we are doing another episode or edition of reading Fairyloot books. So I filmed one of these already, it's up on my channel and you guys seem to really enjoy it. I have a Fairyloot subscription. I get the adult, young adult and the romantasy box combo, so all three books in one, and I try to read my books as they come out, but I am behind on my Fairyloot books. So I honestly think Fairyloot have been smashing it with some of the books this year, like some of my favorite reads and now my favorite special editions ever. Like, well, Heavenly Bodies was last year's December box for romantasy, but I read that in January. One of my favorite reads of the year. The Rose Bargain, The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Oh, and the Bury Our Bones edition. I have a shelf right here that my head and chair is covering that has my favorite Fairyloot special edition. So all of these books are kind of in different categories, mainly adult and romantasy, but I do also love the YA, so I don't think I could ever part with the YA. This is my thing. I'm like, I need all of them. Do kind of really want to get the epic fantasy subscription as well, but I am still on the wait list for that. That's a quarterly box, I think, so they do like 4 a year. Today we are going to read 3 Fairyloot books. I have 2 of them that I have in mind that I want to do. One is romantasy and one is adult. So I'm like, the third we should do a young adult book, but there are so many options. I don't know what I want to read. So we might leave the third option to mood read, but I'm not going to tell you what all the options are just yet, except for the first one that we're going to be reading because I did pick it as part of my TBR for the month. So we are going to be reading The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. I think this was the romantasy. I've not read any Julie Johnson before, but it says that she has published 20 other novels. That's crazy. I love the Fairyloot edition of this. I'll read out the blurb if you have no idea what this book is about. So it says, a prophecy reignited, a storm unleashed, a love that could shatter everything. In war-torn Anwen, fear of magic plagues every corner of the kingdom, and halflings like Rhea Fleetwood are hunted and killed. I'm gonna have to listen to the audiobook to figure out the pronunciation of these names to make sure that I'm not butchering them. When Rhea is sentenced to death, her execution is interrupted by an unexpected savior, the formidable Commander Scythe. Feared by both his own men and his enemies as a merciless fighter on the battlefield, Scythe is far more terrifying than the hangman's noose. In the clutches of this new enemy, she finds herself fighting for her life, forced to travel to the Northlands with her fearsome captor. But she is no ordinary halfling. The strange birthmark on her chest and the wind she instinctively calls forth means she is a remnant. One of 4 souls fated to restore the balance of magic. I think it's pronounced magic, but it's magic. Or die trying. But mastering the power she holds is only the beginning. A forbidden desire for the commander starts to burn fiercely while this tempest within her is waiting to be released. She must choose her heart or the kingdom. And we have this beautiful edition here with like feathers on it. We obviously have the reversible dust jacket that has the cover that you may have seen in stores, and then beautiful illustrations. There we have it there. And then I can't figure out which one of these is supposed to be the MMC, if it is, because they look like 2 different characters. So it looks like water and fire and wind. Is there going to be like an earth? Those are all elementals. Anyways, I am very excited to read this book. I probably will listen to a chapter or 2 of the audiobook for the pronunciations, just based off the blurb. I think I'm gonna need it. But I picked this for my TBR from my TBR jar, and I'm really in the mood for like a typical romantasy story, which this is giving me the feelings of. So we're gonna put the dust jacket on, and then I will catch up with you guys when we pick up the book and start reading. So let's start off with our first Fairyloot book. So I've had headphones on and I've just been reading The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. We're around 15% of the way through and I am enjoying this read. I think it is very, very easy to read. The author has said the word frigid to describe the temperature about 5 times already, but other than that, I think it's an easy fantasy romance read. It's not giving anything super unique yet. It's giving typical fantasy romance. So if you're in the mood for a typical fantasy romance with fae and half fae and high fantasy vibes, I think you will probably get along with this. There have been a few plot points that I think are very predictable, or like I can see the plot twists coming up, but I don't think the author is intending to have them be massive plot points or the end game, the spoiler at the end, the plot twist, you know? So I think it's quite intentional right now. I think it's supposed to be predictable, or at least that's what I'm hoping, because I'm seeing everything coming miles ahead, but I think that that is very intentional. I think the author has kind of given us all of these signs up front. For what reason yet, I don't know. But like I said, it's very easy to read, and the overarching plot point, the overall theme of like the mystery behind that and what we're moving towards, I don't know what it is, but I want to know. I like our characters. I like both of them. But right now, I could probably compare them to like 10 other fantasy book characters that I've read. So it's not giving me like a, oh my god, I've never read anything like this before kind of vibe. And I have read a few fantasies that are reminiscent of this so far, but I am enjoying it. We'll have a catch up tomorrow when I continue to read a bit more and see how we're feeling. But right now I'm having a good time. So it's like 24 hours later, and this book, wow, okay, now I have to say the first 30% of the book, it was kind of just giving like a predictable romantasy. Like I kind of knew where it was going, and I was wondering what was going to happen. Also, I'm going to take this dust jacket off because we're about to jump into it again. The artwork in the back, I was like, I wonder who these guys are. Like, who are they? I know who everyone is now. I understand. I know where this was going. I got to maybe like 40% of the way, between 35 and 40% of the way, and the storyline changed. I wouldn't say that it wasn't not predictable, but I didn't see this shift coming, and I was like, ooh, what are we doing now and where are we going? Because this kind of threw me off a little bit, and I'm very much enjoying where it has gone. It's kind of broken up the storyline for me a bit, and again, is making it a little less predictable. Where exactly it's going and where it's taking us, I don't know. But I'm very intrigued now. We've started to get a lot of answers. Well, not a lot of answers, but we started to get some answers and like breadcrumbs of what the world is, because we're obviously following our main female character who doesn't know that much. She only knows what she's been told. She has not been told the whole truth. We start off the book with a blurb of the book where she's sentenced to her execution. So she's been living in this like human world where halflings are sent to die, basically. They're not allowed to live in some parts, and parts of the kingdom capture halflings. They're scum. They're at the bottom of the barrel. It's interesting. It's interesting. The answers we're learning, the things we're finding out. I want to unravel this mystery and this like past history and find out what's happened in this world, and I'm really into it. And the point where I'm at now, or almost like 50%, I don't want to put it down. I don't. So I think I'm going to keep reading, but I actually, so far, currently where I am in this book, I'm finding it really entertaining. I'm really enjoying it. I would, at this stage, recommend it. I think if this book continues on the current trajectory that we're going and the way that I'm enjoying it, if that continues, I could see myself recommending this as like a romancy read, because this is fun. This is good. At the start, I was enjoying it, but I wasn't like, this is going to be great. And now I'm like, this has potential to be great. It just depends on where the journey takes us. But I like the characters. I like the situation. I like the developments. I'm having fun. I'm having a lot of fun, which is great. This is always what you want. But there is no way that I probably would have heard of this book or picked it up if it wasn't in my Fairyloot subscription. And I just love that. I love when I pick up a book that I haven't really heard of or haven't really seen anyone else talk about that much, or go into it kind of blind and I read it and I enjoy it. That's why I like having a book subscription, because sometimes, I don't know, I feel like I get stuck in this cycle, this loop of picking a book based off hype, what other people say, what other people recommend, but also like the cover and the blurb, and it's very easy to just read the same authors and the same books. And for me, my hyperfixation, my comfort is when I find something I like, I'll read anything that's similar to it because I know I like it. I want to keep reading the same type of thing. So a book subscription kind of takes me a little bit more out of my comfort zone, because I know it's going to be like a fantasy romance, I know it's going to be YA or adult fantasy. But with Fairyloot, like I said, half of the time my subscriptions are upcoming new highly anticipated releases that I know about. I know who the authors are, I've read their other work, I'm excited. Or it's authors like this one that I've literally never heard of before this, and I just get to pick it up and read. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm going to hop into bed and I'm going to continue reading this in bed now. I'm going to spend my Friday evening reading this book and getting as close to finishing it as I can, and then tomorrow morning we'll wake up and finish this book together, because I'm finding myself just wanting to binge books again. I don't know how you guys do it when you spread out your books and spend like a week or two reading a book. I can't do it. I cannot. I just, for one, I lose interest and find it, I don't know, I think I find it more difficult to retain information because I'm jumping in and going, wait, hang on a second, where are we? Who are these characters? Oh yeah, what part of the world is this? What do we already know? Whereas when I'm binging it, it's just all going in and I'm keeping up with it. So that's how my neurodivergent brain likes to read books, is by binging them. So I do want to binge this. I want to binge all the books in this vlog, because for me, binging my books is how I enjoy my books most. So I want to give myself, but also these books, best opportunity and chance to be a good read and enjoy it, because that's what we want. I'm always going to be hoping that I will find my next 4, 5, 6 star read, because who doesn't want to read good books? I'm such a mood reader and a vibes reader and judge books by how they make me feel. I've not been slumping or anything like that, but I've been really busy and a little bit overwhelmed and have not had as much time to read as I usually like to. So I'm hoping that by the end of this vlog as well, that we can come out of it feeling really happy that we found some potentially new favorite reads, new favorite authors, but have dedicated some of my free time to just binging books and doing what I love most, which is reading fantasy books. All right, that's enough yapping. I want to go read this now in bed, so let's do that. Good morning everyone. So yesterday we were around halfway through. Today we have like 100 pages left. We are 401 pages through exactly. I have been having so much fun with this. This was a really pleasant surprise. Now I can say confidently that this isn't going to be a 5-star read for me, because there is one particular thing with like the characters' dynamics that I just never love when I read it in a story, but I am feeling strong 4-star feelings currently at the moment. Like I said, have 100 pages left, which is usually where it all starts to go a bit crazy at the end of a fantasy book, especially when you know that it's going to be a book in a series. So I really love elemental magic. I just think that there's something, if there's a book that has elemental magic in it, I will eat it up. I'll devour it. You know, I'll be sad. And I love the way that it's been done in this. I love the concept. I think it's more unique than other fantasy romance books that I have read, and the fantasy romance genre as a whole, when you read I think as much as I do of it, it's so many similar overlapping things where the storylines can start to become a little bit predictable, and quite a few things in this have thrown me off guard. But I do like our characters. They're not like my favorite. They're not gonna make my all-time favorite characters that I'm gonna think about forever and ever, but I do like them. I am frustrated with them in some points, but with the story and where we're going and the plot line and the magic system, I am thoroughly enjoying this. This is a series that I am very much enjoying, and I can't believe we blinked and we're almost finished. So I'm gonna sit on the couch with my headphones on, listening to my brown noise, and I'm going to read the book. I did listen to the audiobook a little bit last night. Audio always, even if I'm listening it on like times 1.8 or 2 or something, it's nowhere near as fast as I'm always faster reading, essentially. Like an audiobook, unless it's on like times 6 speed, it doesn't match the way that my brain can read pages, and I can't even listen to that. That's impossible. But I did listen to part of it to hear the pronunciations of the characters, the places, certain words, because a lot of it is spelt in an interesting way that in my head I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce that. There's a lot of words and phrases like that in this book where I'm like, ooh, I kind of like it though, because it adds to the high fantasy element of the story. I'm like, we're getting into a new world where things are very different, and there's all these names that sound and are written completely different. Almost, it's not like a new language, but it does almost give that, and I like that. It's making this fictional fantasy world feel a bit more real. That's my thoughts. But the pronunciation I was listening to, and that was very, very helpful. And the audiobook was actually really good. So if you do like audiobooks, I think this is one I would recommend. Very, very good. Like, I was listening to it and I was like, oh, I could probably listen to so much more of this. But again, I wanted to read it because I just wanted to know what was happening, and it wasn't happening fast enough in my audiobook for me. I was like, I need to sit down with this book and I need to read it now. So I read it in bed with my little reading light while Callie was asleep. But yeah, we're gonna finish this, and then I don't know what I want to read next. This is making me feel excited to read more fantasy again, because I have been reading a lot of romance. I have downloaded a couple of thriller books that I'm going to be adding to my TBR and branching out with some other genres. I have general fiction as well on my TBR and books that I want to read, but it's nice to just pick up a fantasy book and go, oh, this is why it's my favorite, you know, this is why it's my favorite genre. I'm enjoying this. I cannot wait to read these last 100 pages now and see what is going to happen, because I have some thoughts, but I also cannot predict where it's going. But I have thoughts in my head of how I want it to go. Is it going to go that way? I doubt it, but having fun. Let's finish this book. The end of chapter 27, there's something that like the mindset that a character has I don't agree with, and it kind of makes me like them more because I'm hoping we get to see this growth of this character. I like these characters because they're flawed. You know, they feel real because we have different characters, some in similar situations, some in completely different ones, but all of their mindsets and how they view the world and life and love and feelings and emotions are all very different. And that combined with the elemental magic system and how every wielder of these different elemental magics has control over their magics, but also how they approach their magic, I find fascinating. I'm feeling positive about this series. I want to know when we're going to get another book. I'm enjoying it. Done. Wow. Book 1 finished. This was such a fun read, honestly. I'm very, very intrigued to see where the storyline goes with this, because I think that we could do so much with this. So I'm hoping that it's just going to continue to surprise me and be good. I loved this. I really enjoyed, where do I even start? I loved the magic system. I enjoyed the world building. I think we had too many scenes where characters weren't together or were apart, or some of the like slower stagnant scenes I didn't really care for too much. There was one thing that we get in so many fantasy romance books when someone's trying to learn how to wield powers that they just did not do in this. And I was like screaming at the characters. I was like, why are we not doing this? Why are we not focusing on this? But I kind of like that, because I'm like, okay, I know where we're going to go with that plotline in book 2. Do enjoy the characters individually. Together, don't mind. I can't say my thoughts without spoilers, but all I'm going to say is you could read this and be like, oh, they have a connection from the start, or it's like a little bit like, that's a bit, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be what we think. I think the author has been very intentional with the pacing of the romance in this story for whatever reason. I'm excited to continue reading. I like romances that are like this, where we have equal amounts of plot and magic and world building, and it's not just super insta love, lust heavy from the start. We do have slow burn. I really enjoyed this. I'm going to say 4 stars for this, and I would recommend, and I will continue to read the series. I'm very, very excited to see what else this author does, but I loved the way that the dialogue between characters was written. I loved the vocabulary and language that she used. I felt the world was super immersive. It really felt like I was in this high fantasy world, and I loved that. I think that this was a well-written book, and I think that the series and the books could only get better from here, because we have so much to work with and so many like possibilities of what we could do. So that is our first Fairyloot book read, and that was a romantasy book. So we have The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. Well done. A round of applause for Julie. What are we gonna read now? I think I already know what I'm gonna read. So the next book that I am picking up to read is actually an adult book, which means I think we need to do a YA book to round this out, because in the last episode we did not do that. I think I want to do one of each genre. So book number 2 is our adult Fairyloot book. I think it was from the same subscription box that I got The Wind Weaver, which is quite exciting, but this is This Monster of Mine. I have seen a few people read it and highly rate it, but I have not really looked at any reviews or what people are saying about this book. I barely know what this book is about other than what's on the back of the book or the blurb. We're going to take off the dust jacket because we have this beautiful hardcover underneath. Look at that. That is beautiful. With these stenciled sprayed edges. We obviously have the illustrated end pages in this book as well. Really beautiful, very atmospheric. And then the reversible dust jacket, but I don't read with a dust jacket on, so we're gonna take that off. So the blurb of this book says, Sarai doesn't know why someone tried to kill her, but she does know that her case was closed without justice. 4 years later, she returns to the scene of the crime with a new face, a new job as a petitor? I don't know what that word is pronounced. Maybe I need to listen to the audiobook for some pronunciation, but she's a prosecutor who can magically detect lies. Oh, that's so interesting. She is assigned to work with the ice cold and perennially sadistic Tetrarch Kadra. This book, I can tell, is going to be testing my vocabulary. I'm definitely going to need to listen to the audiobook. The most vicious of 4 judges who rules the land and the prime suspect in a string of deaths identical to Sarai's attempted murder. Oh, so we've got like a judge and a prosecutor in like a fantasy world, and he's a potential suspect for her case. Certain of his guilt and hellbent on justice, Sarai begins a double life, solving cases with Kadra by day and plotting his ruin by night. Kadra is charming, and there's something alluring about the wrath he inflicts on the city's corruption. So on the evidence she uncovers embroils her in a deadly political battle, Sarai must also fight against her attraction to Kadra. Because despite his growing hold on her heart, his voice matches the only memory she has of her assailant. A dazzling ancient Rome-inspired fantasy. So an ancient Rome-inspired fantasy. I love ancient Rome-inspired fantasies. One of my favorites is The Ember Quartet by Sabat here. But we have a judge and a prosecutor in a fantasy setting. How interesting. When we went to the lake house, some of the girlies were reading it, and I know that there is a glossary. I am very excited to read this. Very different to anything else that I have read. I don't think I've ever had a story or a fantasy story with a judge and a prosecutor. We're gonna jump straight into this and read this. This is looking a little bit shorter. Yeah, it's only 400 pages instead of the 525 page book that we just read. So I would like to read the whole thing today. Why not? Let's try that. Chapters in, 60 pages. I am really liking this, like a lot. I don't know what it was. It's so unlike anything else that I've ever read. I am so fascinated. I love when fantasy books have good politics, and this has like a mystery in it, and it's quite dark. There's trigger warnings at the start of the book, make sure you check them, but I started reading and I've just immediately been transported into this very atmospheric world. Of course, we need this glossary because they have their own language and way the world works, and we're kind of just thrown into it as our way of immersive world building, and then we're learning as we go along. I have thoughts of where I think it's going to go, but I don't think I'm going to be able to like completely predict the story, at least not 60 pages in. I need a bit more. I did listen to a page because it had all the words that I couldn't figure out how to pronounce. Like we have Tetrarch, which are basically like the names of the judges. Like instead of like Judge Smith, it'll be Tetrarch Smith, or at least I'm thinking so far. And petitor, like competitor. So we have petitor Sarai and Tetrarch Kadra. So yeah, there's a lot of words that I will be referring back to the glossary for, but I think I want to listen to a little bit of the audiobook because I'm in the mood to like spend an hour playing some Switch, and I think I can listen to some of the audiobook, learn some more of the words, immerse myself in the story a bit, and then pick up the book to sort of break up the read. But I'm having a lot of fun with this story so far. I am really enjoying it, so I'm excited to see where it goes. I love when I read something different. I'm like, yes, this is what I've been craving and in the mood for, and I didn't even know it. Love when that happens. I'm picking some great reads today. Hopefully we can go 3 for 3 and this one, at least the second one, continues. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I don't want to jinx it, but having so much fun with this. But I am thoroughly enjoying this read so far. Around halfway through the book, we're like 10 pages off being halfway, I'm pretty sure. I am thoroughly enjoying this. This is so different. I genuinely can't compare it to anything else that I have read because I think it's such a unique concept. We obviously have this very political fantasy side of things where there are politicians, there are judges and prosecutors. So we're dealing with the politics of that in this. It's not an academic setting, but it is kind of giving those vibes. But then this ancient Rome inspired setting and world, and then we have so many different things of good versus evil and morality and the law. Very fascinating. And on top of that, we have this murder mystery we're trying to uncover, and then also a little bit of a romance, or a budding romance. So if you want something that's like completely different to probably anything you've ever read, I would highly recommend this. I am gonna hop into bed now though and read probably at least another 100 pages. We only have like 200 pages left to read, so we'll see. I'm just gonna read until I start to fall asleep and feel tired, but I thought I would need to rely on the glossary more. It would be more difficult to pick up so much of like the terminology that's used in this book because we have this entire like magic system, but also this world and language and just like terms and phrases for like the politics side of things too. But it's actually been quite easy to pick up. We kind of figure it out as we go and when things come up. And the audiobook was good. I had some hours left on my Spotify from when I was listening to the first book in this, but those hours maxed out after a couple chapters, so it helped with the pronunciation. I'll probably forget how everything's pronounced anyways by tomorrow, but having fun. Let's go read more of this in bed now. Good morning everyone. I come bearing book updates. So we obviously started this monster of mine. I feel like I didn't get to chat about this or update you while I was reading yesterday as much as I did our first book in this reading vlog, and that's because I read most of it at night time, but I also read all of this in bed. I stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning binging this, which I have not done in so long. One, I was just so close to being finished that I was halfway through the book, so I was like, well, there's only like 200 pages left. I'll just stay up for another hour, read 100, and then we can finish it in the morning. But then it got too interesting and I was like, well, then an hour later, we're only 100 more pages to go, so may as well just finish it, you know. This was super interesting. This also reads like a standalone. I know there's a second book coming. I don't know if it's following the same characters, if it's like interconnected, if it's like a new storyline, because the way that this finished off read like a standalone. So I think if you are looking for a fantasy book that reads like a standalone where there's not like a big plot twist cliffhanger at the end of the book, I would recommend this one because it does read like a standalone. You can just read this for now. We don't know any more info about book 2. I tried to have a little look online but couldn't see anything, but this was very fascinating, very entertaining. This was such an interesting read for me. I think it just broke up all the different types of fantasy books that I have read and it gave me something different, and I liked our characters, I liked the storyline, I liked how we had the mystery, I liked the elements of lore, the world that was inspired by ancient Rome. I just really liked this book, so I'm giving it a 4-star. And I'm very intrigued to see what this author writes next and what the next book in this series is going to be. That was such a fun read. Also, it's only 400 pages. Like, so good. If you like lore and politics in fantasy books and like injustice and conversations on morality and morally grey characters, this is probably going to be right up your street. But that was our second Fairyloot book in this video read. Now we've just got the third and final one to read, so I'm sat next to all my Fairyloot books here. These are my Fairyloot books. Honestly, I have a few YA options, but I feel like I've read most of my YA books, so I think the books that we've picked so far, this monster of mine and the Wind Weaver, both came in the same subscription box, and I haven't read the YA book in that same subscription box. My washing machine sounds like it's gonna take off like an airplane. The YA book is The Glittering Edge. Why don't we read this now? May as well. How many pages is this? It's like under 450 pages. It's a YA and I kind of just want to read it now. This is the Fairyloot edition that we have. The back says magic has demands that must be met. The blurb says, the locals of Idlewood whisper of a tragic love story that began a decades-long blood feud. Kind of giving like Romeo and Juliet. For as long as anyone can remember, the DeLuca witches and the wealthy Barrian family have been sworn enemies. Oh, we have witches. Ever since the curse that changed their fates forever. Now, if a Barrian falls in love with you, you'll die. Oh, this is like Romeo and Juliet curse, but witches. But when Penny, Emberly's mother, becomes the curse's latest victim, Penny must also bring together two bitter rivals, Alonzo and Corey, in order to save her mother's life and stop the feud for good. But as the trio navigates unpredictable magic, the tangled web of their family histories, and complicated attractions, it becomes clear that there are more than dark secrets at play. Can Penny find a way to break the curse without losing her heart in the process? Oh, did we get a love triangle? Because I love a love triangle. The illustrated end page is by Frostbite Studios. And then we have another illustrated end page at the back. We have the naked hardcover, which is beautiful. Oh, how cute. We have a little family tree. Okay, I think I'm gonna read this. Also, instead of a reversible dust jacket, we have this, I don't know what they're called, like character profiles. So it's got our three main characters and information about them. So I think this is gonna be our third and final book of this video. And that way we've read an adult, a romancy, and a young adult book from my Fairyloot subscriptions. So let's read The Glittering Edge. Okay, so we are over 100 pages into the book. I know a lot of adult readers don't really like to read YA books because they can feel that it's a little bit juvenile or it reads a little bit young. Typically YA books are set in like a high school or younger setting. I know a load of adults don't even want to read about like college and university adult books, but for me, I love YA books. I don't know, I think there's like two sides to me. One that hyperfixates on specific types of books and will just read every single thing in that genre, even if they're like super similar, because I just love that. It's like comfort reads. And then the other side of me that wants to read different things because it gets boring to read the same thing over and over again. And I love so many YA fantasy book series and fantasy books like This Woven Kingdom, The Ember Quartet, Light Luck, the Powerless trilogy. I'm trying to think what's on my bookshelf. I have like a whole YA side of my bookshelf, but I really do enjoy my YA fantasy reads. And this is set in high school. We're following like 17-year-olds, so they are on the younger side compared to the more new adult books that I have read. But the comparison for this book, what the publishers choose to comp the book as, they'll usually, like when a book is released, they'll compare it or have comps for it. So it'll be like for fans of The Hunger Games, or if you like Acta meets Caraval, you know, like their comps, and publisher usually pick them in terms of like the marketing for the book. So this is comped as perfect for fans of Practical Magic, The Ravenhood Boys, but also Legendborn. And I can see that. It's like an urban witchy fantasy. We're following a modern day normal urban world where there is technology, these kids are in high school, but there is witchy magic, there is witch coven, and then there is obviously this long-standing feud between these two rival families who hate each other, and one were witches, the other had a curse placed on their family by the witches, and then the witches, the consequences of that were the witches' family's magic was taken away forever. So technically they're all mortals now, but there is some witchy stuff going on. And our main female character gets dragged into this feud between the two families because her mum has gotten herself involved, accidentally obviously, with this curse that was placed on these two rival families. So I am just finding myself so interested. I think I know where we're going with this, and it has one of my favorite tropes in it, if that is the case, but like I have my clear biases. I'm just reading this book and I'm enjoying it so much. Like I'm sat here being like, wow, I'm really enjoying it. Also, this is why I love reading with hardcovers. There's no damage to like the spine or anything, but once you open it and you start reading, they're just so easy to read. And so many people freak out about the fact that I read my Fairyloot books. Like, of course I'm going to read my special edition books that I get in a book subscription. Like, the fact that they're a special edition is like the bonus. I have a book subscription because I want to read books in the subscription, you know? But anyways, I am enjoying this. I think it's very easy to read and to follow along, obviously, because it is a YA. I'm loving the elements of the witchy magic and the curse. I'm loving the two rival families and boys that hate each other. I like our main female character. I think she's really relatable. I think if I was a teenager and I read this, I would relate heavily to her and her thoughts and her anxiety and just wanting to be hidden and not draw attention to herself. And she cares about her friends and her family and wants to focus on, you know, just getting through school. But I'm just sat here, I'm actually like blushing at the little snippets of romance and the yearning that we're getting. It's so wholesome. It's so just... yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm having so much fun. And I think this is going to be a duology, which is amazing. We all know that I love when a book is a duology or like a trilogy. But yeah, I'm having so much fun. Like literally so much fun. I think I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna eat this up. I'm just gonna continue eating this up and devouring it because this is what I needed today. Sometimes you just want like a lighter, lower stakes-ish, like compared to like an epic high fantasy or something, but like a book that you're gonna sit and you're gonna giggle through and you're gonna enjoy, and we don't have any crazy, insane, intense like new language to learn, an entire world and magic system and maps, kind of like the last two books that we had. This is just perfect for the mood that I'm in right now. And now what this is making me want to do is go and read all of my Fairyloot books. Like I just want to go and sit and read all of them because I'm like, I've had 3 reads now back to back in this video of books that have been sat on my shelf that have just been waiting for me to be read, and I've read all of them and I have enjoyed all of them, which is great. This video is already more successful than the last video where we had like a DNF, but I just want to like sit and read all my Fairyloot books now because I'm like, what if I can find my next favorite book through there? So I am also enjoying the fact that I've sat and we're reading an entire month's subscription together, like a whole box of all 3. I'm going to try my hardest to like get up to date with all the books in my Fairyloot subscription so that I can maybe like read all 3 each month. That would be like the plan, that would be ideal. But yeah, I'm having like the time of my life. This is the best weekend ever, just sitting and reading these books. I love being a reader. This is great. My dream date. Cute. Oh, and also I knew 29 pages in that I would love this book because there was a Sylvia Plath quote where he said, "I think I made you up inside my head," thinking about the female main character. And as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, we're gonna be in for some yearning, some intense YA slow burn young love yearning. Beautiful. We're officially at the halfway point. I'm so into this, guys. Like, this is such a fun read. Like, I'm having so much fun with it. The chapters are really short. We keep jumping back and forth between all our 3 main characters and their perspectives and different things that are going on. So I'm finding it quite fast-paced and just easy to fly through. But I love this. I'm having so much fun. Cooper and I are just chilling on the couch, still continuing to read. I am 269 pages in now, and I think I've figured out the mystery. I think I know where this is going, and it's getting really good. I just love when you find YA books like this. Like, I genuinely wish that I could have read this when I was like 15. I think it would have altered part of my brain chemistry. I just love YA books like this. I feel like I'm healing my inner child. I'm a big fan of this book. Big fan. Quote, "This character's body is too small for everything they feel. They're constantly bubbling over, sometimes with anger, sometimes with joy, sometimes with love. This is what love looks like in their language." I just love the way that this author just is. Just describing emotions and how different all these characters are. It's so nice. It's so nice. We have less than 50 pages left though. I'm afraid stuff's about to start happening. We're right into the action. I knew it was coming, but still, reading it is something else. Whoa. Entertainment. Pure entertainment. Drama. Love it. This would make a really good TV show. I knew what was coming. I was right with my prediction, but also caught off guard with the ending. Wow. I don't even know what I want to rate it. It's definitely a 4-star. Wow. All 3 books were so different. So I can't really like compare any of them to each other because they're very, very different stories, but great entertainment with this one. Really enjoyed that. Wow. I want book 2. So here's the thing, I've spent the last like 30 minutes just thinking about this book since I finished it. I genuinely wish that I had this book to read when I was a teenager. It's just, I don't know, right book, right time, but also just the way that the author writes about figuring out who you are as a teenager and finding yourself and figuring out what you want to do with your life, but then also understanding other people around you. Beautiful. Witchy vibes, teenage angst, yearning, a mystery. This was perfect. I read it in 4 hours. I genuinely could not put it down. I literally just sat, as you saw, in the couch in one spot and just read the book and I couldn't stop. I know I'm going to be thinking about this book. This for me is on like the same level as The Rose Bargain, but this I think just like spoke to my soul a bit more. I really like connected with this. So I just love the fact that it's going to be a duology as well. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay, that brings us to the end of this video now. We had 3 successful Fairyloot reads. So overall, yes, I love having my subscription. I think it's worth it when I especially get months like these where every book is a hit for me. Now, statistically, not every single book is going to be a hit or a slay, but for me, I definitely think that I get my value and return on having a book subscription like my Fairyloot one. So I'm gonna go put this on the shelf and I'm probably honestly gonna spend the rest of my evening reading. We might go and pick another Fairyloot book to read, but I'm feeling like on such a high that I could read anything right now and it's gonna hit, you know. I love that. I love when you come out of reading a good book and it gives you the opposite of a book slump where you're like, I can read anything. But if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, I want you to let me know in the comments below what is a book that you read from a book subscription service, if you've had one like Fairyloot, that has been one of your favourite reads that surprised you. And if you don't have a book subscription, have you ever thought about having one? Alright, I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.